I'm Yesha Rai, and I chose this spot because it's the path that my family would take when we would go to the river when I was younger. Okay. River path. The path is overgrown now, trees lying dead on their side, rolled from perfect positions along the bank, where little and big feet would walk over thick-ribbed bark. The path leads from a jutting field of rocks to a tiny beach curled around the land. The shore is an intersection. Green and Hoosic, perpendicularly inclined, we find it difficult to be one thing, and I am drawn to collision. A summer spent in the river is an old memory, well worn and traced, waist-deep in water, slipping on stones, gray clay lining the bank. With concentration I can hear young laughter, timelessness, friendship, and unfiltered joy. Naivety in every splash. As I grow older, swimming becomes less of a possibility. I walk beside the river, listening but never quite reaching it. The river flows continuous as the light cycles through. Mosquitoes hover, rain pours, first in sprinkles, then buckets. Birds sing, wind shakes. Under everything, the river rushes steadily on. The branches of maple trees hang over, leaves kissing water, pale orange sunlight streaming through. Right now, the river is more flooded than I've ever seen it. The corners of the water risen up to meet the forest. The patterns of the water are the same, white foam and curling ripples, waves. When I was young, there were two paths in the clearing, forward and back. Now there is a web, born of necessity, with some trails more traveled than others.
My name is Diane Olson, and I chose this place for my poem because it was the first place that my husband and I explored when we moved here 7 years ago. My poem is called Distant Relatives. Life on the Hudson River's eastern shore was my inner compass. River on my left, I was heading north. River on my right, heading south. Crossing the river, welcome to New Jersey. My new river does not mark directions easily, yet this wandering Hoosic, the Algonquin name for the beyond place, knows its family, knows how to find them, meandering through 3 states, west, north, south, west again through floodplains, limestone, train yards, purple fields of ragged robin, white snakeroot, black cohosh, home to mergansers, herons, foxes, cattle, deer, and bear, and through the city that tried to tame it between concrete walls until it joins its Hudson relatives on their way to the open sea.
I've lived with this river at the bottom of my street for almost 35 years. It comes down right there, the path of where I would normally come down to get to the river. And so I feel like I have a long history with this little stretch of river. It feels like my little stretch of river. We've had children's birthday parties here. We had lots of times coming just to swim and to cool off. At one stage, one of my sons found and dug up a whole lot of bones that he thought were dinosaur bones, but they turned out to be horse bones. So just a lot of history, and I love this part of the river. The Green River. The river runs by the bottom of our street. Push through tall grass or tramp through snow, and you're there by its bright waters. They're green when the trees above are green, but yellow in fall, muddy brown after rain. The river at the bottom of our street is always changing. Little beaches form and disappear. Tangles of driftwood come and go. Once I saw a turtle, once a red-tailed hawk, often tiny translucent minnows. Right there at the bottom of our street, there's a swimming hole, a popular place on the hottest days. Long ago, a rope swing hung over the deepest part. We're lucky to have a river at the bottom of our street, always cooler in summer, but a haven in any season, soothing in its constant sound and mesmerizing movement. Whenever I go to the bottom of our street, I feel my blood pressure drop, my breath calm and deepen to match the river's steady flow, free from human fretting.
Hi, I'm Bernice Lewis. I live in Williamstown, Massachusetts. I've been living here for 30 more years, up just above this spot. And this is a song about the spruces. The spruces were home to about 266 people. It was a mobile home park. And in August of 2011, Hurricane Irene flooded the banks so severely that everyone had to be evacuated. The town decided that it was time to move people out, and it took quite a few years. In 2014, there were still 66 people left here, and in 2016, everybody was moved out. But the legend behind the spruces is that it was a wonderful community, and the people left very reluctantly. Told us and they told us that before. No, you can't push the river when the water's at your door. Knew that we were different, but we always felt so safe. We watched out for each other in between those lions gates. No, you can't push the river. Told us that before. No, you can't push the river when the water's at your door. All my friends and neighbors are scattering like seeds. My cosmos and hydrangeas are buried in the weeds. Walk on summer mornings on these trails that once were streets. I can almost smell the coffee. I hear voices on the breeze. You can't push the river. You told us that before. No, you can't push the river when the water's at your door. Who came before us camped out on these banks. They pulled fish out of the water. They grew corn and they gave thanks. When that river flooded, when the rains came down, they lived by premonition and they moved to higher ground. Can't push the river. Told us that before. No, you can't push the river when the water's at your door. No, you can't push the river. You told us that before. No, you can't push the river when the water's at your door.
I'm Adriana Millinar Brown, and I walk in the spruces all the time. Walking my tucky by Hoosic River daily, I feel quite lucky. Wild white roses bloom in darkening river's gloom, and goldenrods loom. Fields by the Hoosic look green, making lush music. Bluebells I shall pick. In the large floodplain, mobile homes on its terrain, long in extreme pain. Cottonwoods stand tall, proudly shading fish and all. Do you hear the eagles call? By the river's bend, I walked often with my friend. Love letters we penned. Artists paint the view. They sketch the river anew. Will they sell a few?
Hello, my name is David Cruz, and I am here at Little White Creek because the poem I'm going to read for you is titled North Corridor, and it follows the source waters of Little White Creek down to the Hoosic River. Accompanying me will be Daniel O'Connor on percussion. North Corridor. Carry it like the river, she says. I leave the back door, walk up the rise. Farm fields, west end, close the gate. Follow the coyote's path into the woods, to the pine grove, where huge white pines loom into a canopy, not the first pines. Just beyond a slow descent to a mountain stream, its flute. Cross it. Rocks piled and scattered, slate, schist, into a mountain, into tufts of peat moss, broom and log moss, rock draped, fern covered, fallen trees. At the summit of West Mountain, 2,401 feet above the level of the sea, just south of Spruce Peak, Grass Mountain, the northern Taconics, the western rim of what some call the Vermont Valley. Here, the watershed's ecotone, a turn from the compass rose. I open the map to feel its textures, where the contours fall in crevasse, moraine, to recall the power of glacial striation, to know how mountains are sculpted, formed from rock and cavern. The water flows, springs in the forest that rise through limestoned earth. Here, land of chestnut-sided warblers and no more chestnuts. I am a river. I once was a river. The rushing of Little White Creek fades, comes closer as I move toward source, spring, the water flowing over the falls upon beds of moss, deepened stones, soaks into and down the creek, perhaps little. It will grow, increasing. The more it falls away, the more it fills on its way to the sea. Some of the forest has been logged, most of it. These trees, not old growth. Who has touched more of the land, we or the river? And do the redstarts know? Do the ovenbirds know? Will the forest remain full with the songs of black-throated greens and blues, winter wrens and vireos, the thrushes collecting? How many are left? The river's water twists and turns down farm fields, under roads. The feeding streams given away by meandering groves of trees, collecting fertilizer and feed, cow manure, pesticides, tractor oil and piss, pooling briefly to descend homemade rock dams as it drops to the Williamstown, where fly fishermen scatter the slower waters under rusted out bridges, freight train crossings, recycling centers, water waste treatment plants, warehouses ruined. At Hoosic Falls, the water flows north, past abandoned factories, mills, ghost mills, lost concrete structures along the river before the last push into the Hudson. Locals speak of a spot where, back in the 70s, the land was mined for gravel before protests shut the company down. Moses Farm, it is now called, at the terminus of the Owlkill, a place that sits near the confluence where rivers gather, and stories say once was an intertribal meeting place at the meeting of the waters. Haudenosaunee, Abenaki, Muhi Koniok, Hoosic, place of stones. What does the river know? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Deb Burns. I grew up in Williamstown and I always loved the rivers, which always seem to be going to exciting places. I love the sound of them and the sight of them. I love swimming in them and just enjoying them. So this particular song is called I Would Miss the Rivers, and I'm singing it in this spot because I always love this particular, it's sort of an elbow just below Linear Park, and it feels like a cathedral with the tall pillars of these maple trees and pines. It's just a lovely, lovely spot. So I'm going to sing I Would Miss the Rivers. If you fly me away to live in LA, city of angels, night's brightest day, I might just not stay, 'cause I would miss the moonlight pouring through the woods at night, Milky Way so high and bright. I would miss the rivers. If we took a chance on Paris, France, city of light and sweet romance, I might lose my way, 'cause I would miss the night songs, owls and crickets all night long, freight train whistle in the dawn. I would miss the rivers. As a child I'd hear in the nighttime a river rushing past. Downstream was the future, upstream was the past. If we ventured forth to live in New York, city of dreams behind every door, I might drift away, 'cause I would miss the fireflies coming down from starry skies, twinkling right before my eyes. I would miss the rivers. Always I'd be yearning for the landscape I had known. Like a salmon I'd be returning to the waters I call home. When we're standing before heaven's door, finally find out what life is for, I might slip away, 'cause I would miss this little town, cradled by mountains all around, and I would miss the moonlight, freight train whistle in the night, and I would miss the rivers.
Hey, you laughing, crying, riffing river of all names and one name, self-existing, stumble-flowing sign of yourself. You chop and stall, fling futures into past, filing silently by. The Ganges is none other than you. You Hoosic River, rocky New England gone. Come again, 5 nations, place beyond. A Susquehanna, Monongahela, Mississippi Mohawk of the mind. Hudson Greenbrier song without beginning or end. Before names named you, Walloomsac sang you, into Owl Kill Tumhannock, mumbling Hudson's Brook. Dear blessed blood river, you flow within us. We are you, and you are us. Our arteries course with none other than you. Our veins draw you back. By moonlight's pull, gravity's fall. True, we stole your energy, steal it still, but you gave and gave. Flowing still, you forgive us our human wayward way. You fall, rise, carve, careen, carouse, dream our dreams. You, Hoosic, Hudson, Allegheny, Sudbury, Salisbury, Kennebunk, Kinnieto, Kinderhook, Cateroceros, one and many, being river makes it so. You crying, laughing river, you flow through all your names. You journey whole in all your parts, never returning, always becoming, being river makes it so. You fall, you rise, careen, carouse, are still and sleepy here, angry there, always composed, never arranged. We plunge, soak, sink, and swim.
I'm Sarah Sutro. I'm a poet and an artist, and I live at the Eclipse Mill, which is right on the Hoosic River. So I chose this spot because it's one I'm really familiar with. I walk here every day and know it very well. By the Hoosic River. Walking by the river on a grassy way, noticing how the water bends, curves, races. River, a known being with unknown boundaries. In one flood chute, a huge boulder lodged beneath a dam, evidence of the past, a mill nearby. Up above the dam, on the path of the early river, birds gather on a floating log, and beavers swim across to find another tree. A blue heron soars by, and the shimmering river goes on and on. Stones collect on the bottom, and mud forms an inner bank as water gets deeper by the steep side of a rock face. The river's shape always changes depending on weather, first calm, then raging torrent, carving the inner bank, filling the channel with thick brown water. On a balmy day like today, the river runs smoothly, rounding curves, laconically moving on. Waterfall, a modest cascade of brilliant white, water seeming to soften rocks as it goes. Water mirrors sunlight and blue sky. Waterfall invents rainbows in pearly mist, changing, always changing. River flows on, apple trees on one side bursting out in full, thick blossoms. Later, storms will tear blossoms down, as this is spring after all. Sometimes the river seems to talk to itself in wild or moderate ways. Ducks look on placidly, unconcerned with outer weather. They're ducks. Their mode is to cruise, not comment. When the shadow comes and it begins to rain, nothing in nature need take cover. Rain feeds the river system that calls back its other selves, thunders over the dam in a torrent, then subsides. It takes a certain commitment to walk by a river in the rain, to hear it roar. Maybe one has to become one with the river to know oneself, or know the river. Knowing green as I do, I'll stick to the path by the river.
My name is April Patrick, and I chose the Roaring Branch, Williamstown Brook, because I love to walk here with my dog every day, see the changes on the water level, and admire the beautiful rocks. And I'm going to start off with a few quotes and then my poem. To be alive is power, existence in itself, without a further function, omnipotence enough. That's Emily Dickinson. The infinite goodness has such wide arms that it takes whatever turns to it. That's Dante Alighieri. The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. Albert Einstein. This is called To Enhance Each Other Deeply by April Patrick. Oh, great spirit whose voice I hear in the wind, bless this sacred place. Grandfathers of the north, grandmothers of the east, powers of the south, Wakantanka of the west, protect this sacred place. I honor and thank thee for this sacred place. May all living beings protect and honor this sacred place. May this sacred place and we enhance each other deeply. I follow the path of white and ochre stones and rocks to my heart's desire. I gaze at this dazzling ethereal light. I surrender to the warm bellies and smooth backs of these noble rocks. I lie on my back on this rock and imagine falling into the clouds in the sky. I am firmly held by one whose will is not easily overturned. I sit on the seat of this rock and let the stream bathe my legs. I feel safe, held upon a foundation, loving and splendid. I take good long looks at the hills, the turn of the stream, and at each and every rock. Their patience, solace, and wisdom enter me, assuring me I am loved and accompanied on my journey through the infinite universe. Being in the presence of these trees and rocks, I feel calm. Hear the voices of the rocks. I ask each rock their names. Many of the stones are very old and very wise. I welcome the flow of this stream through me, that it will nourish and replenish me and become me more fully myself. Let my toes root in this stream bed and Mother Earth's love travel into me. Thank you, stream, for your cool refreshment of your rain and ice melt splash, your awakening dunk, your revivifying push, your enlightening sparkle and slap in the face and on my scalp. Floating on my back in a clean, cold river, breathing, gazing at the sky, the moving water holding me, lifting me up, feels the way I felt when my grandma bathed me in soothing bathwaters, tinted with lavender bath salts when I was an infant, washing me with so much love and tenderness, her touch like the silken touch of river water. The sky and light so delicious I could eat it. Hawks and vultures coasting above, cumulus cotton clouds on a glowy blue eternity. This is my home. During the rainy season, the river is swollen and roars mightily. This sacred place helps us with its medicine, knowledge, and healing. This river, these rocks, are my friends and teachers. They listen. They teach me how to listen. I learned from listening to the river that it is good to strive for the bottom, to sink, to seek out the depths. I learned to hearken with a quiet heart, with a soul that waits, open without passion, without desire, without judgment, without opinion. I learned from the river that time does not exist. The river is everywhere at once, at its origin and at its mouth, at the waterfall, at the bridge, at the rapids, in the smooth stretches, in the sea, in the mountains, everywhere at the same time, and for it only the present exists. No shadow of the past, no shadow of the future. Everything is, everything has essence. This awareness brings me deep bliss. The everlasting arms of the river are always here underneath us, melodying, source of life, source of life, source of life. Listen. Our friend the river has many voices, very many voices. Friends, the river has the voice of a queen, the voice of a warrior, the voice of a wild galloping horse, the voice of a nightingale, the voice of a woman giving birth, the voice of someone sighing, the voice of leaves whispering, and still a million other voices. When you succeed in hearing all its 10 million voices at the same time, you hear the universe breathing. I am a beaver in a clear river, clear as daylight. I work on my den while my mate, that orange-toothed beauty, dives underwater, swims through the secret opening to our den of sticks and branches puzzled together. I eat bark with my tough chompers, slap my wide, powerful tail on the surface when danger is near. Humans, foxes, bobcats, bear approaching. I swim upstream with as much ease as down, its waves caressing my cheeks and svelte, muscular body, the current aiding my speed and buoying my grace and agility. We are having our kits soon, so we must keep the den strong and tidy, store up trees to eat and to reinforce our home here on the river in the woods, or what's left of the woods after the humans have come for all our trees but a few. Our dams give safe baby pools to migrating birds and spawning fish too. Rivers give us separation from daily chores and the burdens of life. To be next to a flowing body of water, floating on moving water, takes away worries and distracts from life's fretting fears. This stream provides a calm, soothing feeling. Rafting tumultuous. Level 4 or 5 rapids is an exhilarating adventure. Rivers give us tranquil feeling, just watching the flow of water, whether slow or going over falls. The different terrain, long stretches of openness or through canyons or wooded areas or cliffs make enjoyable vistas. The sound of moving water relaxes and helps us sleep. I love falling asleep at night in bed after rafting, tubing, or kayaking, my body still mimicking the rapids in my sleep. Rivers quench our thirst. Rivers give us life, feeding our crops and the oxygen and fruit and nut producing trees. Trees and bushes and plants in turn keep the river healthy by filtering the water, making it pure, holding the bank in place, preventing erosion, which slows the course of the river so it meanders more gently, which reduces flooding. Oh, Great Spirit, protect this river. Keep this river pure and wild and free. My fellows of Vermont and fellows traveling to Vermont, please love and guard our unfettered stream. Keep it wild, keep it free. Let us live. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Oyan Mukherjee, and the song is called Hoosic River Run. And I chose this spot on the river, just next to Coalfield in Williamstown, because this is about 15 feet from where I came initially when I was walking around looking for inspiration for this tune. Thanks for listening.
All my living in a coffee cup, yet only in the kettle am I free. Something in the space before all the measuring up, when all there is learning how to breathe. There are the quick and there are the dead. Me, I move a little slowly. I watch the Hoosic River run. It's all of the running I need. Every day I wake and wind up to freeze a word, still as an institutional memory. But like any other hunger, there will never be enough, so I hunt through the fridge like a honeybee. There's silver in the water and a different kind of time, nothing I can weigh to get between. Every drug I've ever taken, slow spinning down, well, none of them pretend to compete. There are the quick and there are the dead. Me, I move River run. It's all of the running I need. Ooh. There are the quick and there are the dead. Me, I move a little slowly. I watch the Hoosic River run. It's all of the running I need.
Thanks.
Yep, my name's Adrienne Dunn, and I chose this part of the river because it's near my home. This is my poem called Hoosic River. I live in a loop of a river that's been here long before it had a name. When we first looked at the house to buy, I thought, it's too cramped, not even a back door. Outside, a wide, flat yard was covered in snow. Shh, listen. We heard the soft rush of the river. Across the yard, a winding path led into a tiny wood. Tall, bare trees, thick vines coiled round their trunks and looped through their branches. We followed the sound as it grew louder. Then sound gave way to the sight of water flowing between snow-covered banks. Right then, we knew we'd take the cramped house to be near the river. Today, my 3-year-old grandson said, "Grandma, I want to go down and look at the river." We walked down the path lined with honeysuckle bushes. Asian bittersweet vines poked up from the ground, while above, cottonwood and Norway maple leaves fluttered. The water was low with little white rapids. My grandson climbed onto a flat boulder at the edge. Sunlight glinted off the rippling water. Unexpectedly, a family of Canada geese glided by. 2 adults and 5 yellow goslings, all in a line. Then another family zipped by. 5 more goslings bobbing between their parents. On our return walk from the river, I heard my favorite songbird, a thrush called Veery. Small and brown, invisible, but with a cascading song that I wait for each spring. Long before it had a name, this river made a habitat for plants and animals. Now, the trees along its shore are no longer native to this area, but their roots still hold the soil in place and filter water that runs off the land. Many animals remain: bear, deer, groundhog, rabbit, fox, skunk, and others. The river habitat still provides homes and food for seasonal birds, whose songs uplift our human spirits. In turn, we tend this plot of river silt, cut the invasive bittersweet that strangles the trees, replant native plants to feed more insects and birds. We do our part to renew the river habitat. In our otherwise noisy world, the river makes us stop and listen. In winter, from our back deck, I can see a silver slice shimmering between black branches, and hear the shush of the river softening the air around it.
Hi, my name is Lizzie Beck. I'm here at the Hoosic River in Williamstown, and I'm going to be reading from a poem in progress called Watershed Diary. It's a poem in distinct short sections, each of which is linked to the sections which precede and follow it. The intention is for the nature of those linkages to change and turn, so that the poem flows and moves ahead, but does so meanderingly like a river. I also want the sections to vary the pace of the poem rapid sections, lazy sections, and also its temperature, warming up, cooling down. I wrote most of this poem on walks along the river trails in Williamstown, including in this spot. Walks both along the Hoosic and the Green Rivers in the month of June. I want to thank HooRWA and the Mass Cultural Council for supporting this project. I'm grateful to be a part of it. And the poem begins with an epigraph. Watershed Diary. A drop of water falling anywhere inside the watershed boundaries will eventually make its way down to the river, either in a stream or over the ground or under the ground. Hoosic River Watershed Association. Mud, shade, purple asters, caddisfly nymphs. These are examples of point source pleasure, though non-point source pleasure may also be present. All morning I play hide and seek with the river. The trail sign, when I find it, is nailed to a fallen tree. Ostrich ferns upright and huge, the green a tie-dye shirt aspires to. Gobs of light in feathered, fluted urns. Walking a path is like walking through someone else's mind. Frustration, surprise. Do I trust it? On one end of the river trail is the power station from which a man emerges. I hustle. He holds up his bottle of Gatorade like the spread open pages of a passport, which reveals me as the border agent. See, he's exercising. Here is his stamp. The water near my house is Christmas Brook. Darn it. Our Jewish daughter always playing Santa. Believes in the Easter Bunny. Deep knowledge of leprechauns. In April in the grocery store. Antibiotics. Cubed watermelon. Peeps. Always saying no. My child's friend thinks matzo balls are made of meat. Half funny, half blood libel in the modern day. I never know if in the Passover story all the water turns to blood. Rain, urine, child's drink in a ceramic jar, or just the Nile. Just. Every drop, vermilion, in the watershed boundaries. My friend who lives here is not here because her friend who lives elsewhere is dying. By the time I transcribe my notes, a matter of days, it is over. She is 37. A drop of water will eventually. A weaver, which seems the opposite of river, the way a river breaks a landscape, stops you short. River, rift, rend, reeve, thrums of distant grieving. Haze today from fires burning in Quebec, green evening. Ostrich ferns, light in feathered, fluted urns. In a stream, or over the ground, or under the ground. Turntail, hightail, white-tailed deer in the river. A mother and child, and their crossing is a labor. Uneven river stones, water neck-deep for the fawn. I carry my baby in the front pack, from which he can touch the beetle-hole bark of a maple. Behind the townhouses, a boy poses for no one. Hands on hips, the river his. I wonder if the path behind him is a deer path, a desire line, like the old cow-herding ways that over centuries become roads. The deer path, the river's path, the river that establishes desire. Stream of. Watching my thoughts slip by full of insects and minnows, my thoughts evaporate from the surface as mist, dry up seasonally, go underground, intermittent, not a river, no vigor, certainly not the depths of a lake. My thoughts today cool and clear. A deer stops to drink from my thoughts. I step into my thoughts in black sandals and dirty feet. My thoughts join up with other thoughts. Together, they'll make it big, float a canoe, a kayak or two. My thoughts always wanted to see the ocean, unpolluted thoughts, depopulated thoughts, over or under oxygenated thoughts, catch and release thoughts, dammed up thoughts, whitewater thoughts, flood chutes around my poor little thoughts, beginning far up on the mountain as rain. Bishop, cold, dark, deep, and absolutely clear, historical, flowing, and flown. I don't think my thoughts are historical, can't even remember this morning. I cross a wooden footbridge where a stream rushes under and down to join the swifter current. The river's baby burbling gives way to constant flow. Signs uphill mark the boundaries of private property. They can come down this way, but I can't go up. 2 dogs bark and whine, one remarkably like an elephant. A third leashed so still I can't unconvince myself it is stone. Their treehouse overlooks the river. Later on the Hoosic, I find a second treehouse rising among the cottonwoods from a rusted hunk of maybe tractor. Later, a third treehouse, until I realize the treehouses are blinds. Are maybe blinds. Or walking a path is like reading a book, then reading it again, backwards. What belongs on the river? A cranefly feasts on asters, lilac bristles, yellow centers. Japanese knotweed, so vigorous its nodes are red. The cleverest invasives reach me nose first, so that accidentally I like them. Dame's rocket, multiflora rose. My favorite wildflower, the ragged robin, has come over from Europe and naturalized. A drop of water falling anywhere. A bold, showy pink that looks eternally exhausted. But the river is a weaver, is a web. Bubbles dart over the surface, fly bodies with breaststroking legs, mayflies at the nymph stage that attract trout fishers, humans, and mergansers. Footprints in mud thick as pudding. Great maple limbs lounge over the water. The river is a party, the disco play of light on the undersides of leaves. Mud, shade, purple asters, caddisfly nymphs, sand, ferns, footprints, light on the undersides of leaves. Cottonwood seeds on the wind, migratory birds and insects, the river itself a migrant. Human migrants and our descendants carry with us a private, expanded map. Eventually, drops of the Passaic, of Tony's Brook, of the Elbe, the Dnieper, the Bug, gather their belongings and make their way down, where I place my foot on a river stone. Backwards again, a walking oar. Thank you.
Hi, we're Wintergreen. This is Alice Spatz, Larry Spatz, and I'm Jared Polans. And we're going to play a tune for you that I wrote inspired by the river. I'm calling it the Hoosic Jig. It's sort of, when I was writing it, I was sort of thinking of the motion of the water. And then since it's pretty short, we're going to pair it with a traditional Irish tune that also has a river-related name. It's called Bonaparte Crossing the Rhine. So here we go.